Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us for this special edition of the Research and Innovation Training Institute. We are celebrating Women in Science and Inventors Day. We have two panels that we've convened today. One of women who have made significant strides in the science fields, and also a team of inventors. First, we'll have our inventors, and that panel will be facilitated by Bobby Melvin, who is the Executive Director of Innovation and Commercialization for Prairie View A&M. Bobby, thank you for joining us. Please introduce your panelists.
Thank you. Today, I'm lucky enough to have Dr. April Lovelady and Dr. Laura Carson, two of the, I think one of the certainly my favorite inventors at Prairie View. Even though I've only been here a year, I've gotten to know both of them fairly well, and have just been blown away with not only their passion for Prairie View, but their passion for research and innovation. So I'd like for you all to welcome Dr. Carson and Dr. Lovelady. And I'll start by just a brief introduction and let them introduce themselves, because I certainly couldn't do them justice. I'll start with Dr. Carson, if you're available, Dr. Carson. And go ahead and just briefly introduce yourself and describe sort of your background and what it is you do at Prairie View.
Okay, thank you, Bobby, and thank you guys for having me today. Let's see, how far do I go back? So I did a BS degree at Alcorn. I was an athlete there as well. Got involved with chemistry. I wanted to do chemistry from high school. So I went on to Alcorn, graduated, and decided to do a master's degree. And I found myself here at Prairie View as a graduate student. And that was my first introduction to research. And so I was here at Prairie View for 2 years as a student, and then as a research technician. And then afterwards, I went to the University of Akron and did a PhD in polymer science. And I had a great passion for coming back to Prairie View to teach the students here at Prairie View about polymer science. And so I came here as assistant professor, got a couple of grants, one being the Future Aerospace Technology Center or something with engineering. Worked with Dr. Biney and Dr. Zoe. And received another grant, a NASA FAR grant. All those had to do with polymers, developing polymer composites for space shuttles. And then I started, met Dr. Regisford soon after that, and we started writing grants for engaging students in research. And then shortly after that, I moved over to CARC and started doing research with the plant systems. And that's why I am today, doing research with plant systems, director of undergraduate research and research compliance here in the College of Agriculture and Human Sciences. So a very short story about.
Not that short. Certainly doesn't begin to capture all the things I've seen you working on already. So we'll get to that shortly. Yeah. Dr. Lovelady, yourself, please.
All right. So hi, everyone. I'm April Lovelady, and by training, I'm a control systems engineer. And so I started out, actually, my first job was working for NASA, and I was developing control systems for the Martian atmosphere at the time. At some point in time, I left the federal government and went to industry, and I was like, like I could probably come up with ideas of my own. So then I was like, well, where am I going to do that? And so I was like, well, academia. So I left industry and I came to academia, where I've gone on to co-found 2 medical device companies. And so my first company is Voyager Biomedical, and I'm happy to say that we've achieved a major strategic investment for that company. And so I was able to transition from being the chief technology officer for Voyager to just being an advisor. My second company is for a device that helps to prevent surgical site infection. So basically what I do is I design mechanical devices that have medical applications. And I get to do all of that fun stuff from here at Prairie View, right? So at Prairie View, I'm a professor in the mechanical engineering department, or an assistant professor in the mechanical engineering department. And I also serve as the associate department head. And so in that role, I've gotten to develop a new class, and that class is called Design Thinking for Device Development. And again, I'm passionate about entrepreneurship and about taking academic research to the market. And so that class is sort of focused on that, right? It teaches students to think, well, to use the design thinking concepts for more than just academic exercises. And let's see, what else do I do? So I've done research again, and currently I'm working on a NASA funded project that is focused on growing microgreens and microgravity. I'm working with various PV alum, and so I really like that one, right? So PV alum, they graduate and they go off and they develop ideas, and then they come back to Prairie View and they say, hey, can you help me prototype these? And so in that way I get to work with Prairie View alumni. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it about me. I guess if you want to know hobbies, I like to garden, and I like to crochet. And eventually one day I want to get into voice acting, as if, you know, people want to listen to my voice for hours on end. But, you know, I think that would be a really cool thing.
Oh, very interesting. All right. Apparently I jumped the gun and Karen wanted to do an intro video from Dr. Rajan, but
Our Vice President for Research and Innovation. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you, April and Laura. Thank you so much for, I'm looking forward to everything that you have to say. And April, we'll have to connect on the crocheting piece.
I know, right, right.
I'm terrible at it, but I love to do it.
So Dr. Magesh Rajan, who's our Vice President for Research and Innovation, you know, he thought this was a great idea with Inventors Day this week and us celebrating women and girls in the sciences this week. Why not celebrate it here at Prairie View through the Research and Innovation Training Institute? And he could not be here today. However, not one to be left out. He has prepared a video for women in science and also one for Inventors Day. So,
good afternoon, PVAMU faculty and staff. I'm Magesh Rajan, VP for Research and Innovation. Welcome to the special Research and Innovation Training Institute, RITI, celebrating National Inventors Day this Friday, February the 11th. I thought it would be great to spotlight the dynamic innovators at Prairie View A&M University. Today's RITI, you will hear from some phenomenal inventors who sensed something needed to change or create it. That is what inventors do. They have an idea or see something and invent a way to improve it. IC Director Bobby Melvin has assembled some outstanding faculty and staff in innovation to share their journey with you. So thank you for attending today's RITI session.
thank you for your introductions, Dr. Carson, Dr. Lovelady. Just a few questions that you kind of throw out, then I'll open up the floor for questions from our audience for yourselves. But my questions, one of them to start with is, what is it you like most about conducting research? Why is that interesting as opposed to, for example, being a teacher, professor, or are they mutually exclusive? Start with Dr. Lovelady.
Oh, so, okay. I don't think that they're necessarily mutually exclusive. I mean, that's part of the reason why I came back to the field of academia, right? Because I have an opportunity to sort of bring the research that I'm doing into the classroom to help, I hope it helps provide motivation for the students, right? To continue their STEM education. There have been a lot of studies that have taken a look at why students are motivated to enter the STEM field and to pursue STEM careers. And it oftentimes stems or sort of circulates around having mentors that look like them that they can relate to. And so, you know, being a minority female, Prairie View is a perfect place, I think, for me to sort of come here and showcase that research. And so I love academia and entrepreneurship because academia gives me the opportunity to be entrepreneurial with somebody else's money, right? Not with my own. So we get to write grants and pursue this research area. And then we have the support of the university behind us, in the event we should come up with something that's patentable. And so for me, the two are not mutually exclusive, but they are very much integrated. And so I get to research things that I'm passionate about and then share that passion with the next generation in hopes of inspiring them.
Thank you. How about Dr. Carson? What do you like the most about your conducting research?
What I like most about it is you get to be creative. You get to do those things that's an interest to you. And you get the opportunity to engage students, to develop the next generation of URMs to work in the scientific arena. That whole part of engaging students, I think, is very, very important to building the next generation of researchers. So I agree with Dr. Lovelady. They're not mutually exclusive of each other.
Okay. I was going to ask you, what do you like least? But I think unanimously, I've only heard from researchers that the least thing you like least is having to write grants to get the money.
Absolutely. What I think might be useful is if we invest in more grant writers, that there is time that we plug out to actually sit with the grant writers. That is one thing, but over the years, I think a lot of us have that ability to do some writing on our own and to develop some ideas. I think one of the things that concerns me is making sure that we are engaging each other so that there is a interdisciplinary focus to some of our research activities, incorporating some of the social sciences and the behavioral sciences into like what Dr. Lovelady did, the creation of these devices. I think that's an important aspect that we should at least consider.
I can say from my interaction or my work with innovation at A&M and here at Prairie View as well, the collaborative efforts is becoming more of a focus. The interdisciplinary collaboration is becoming more of a focus. And I think it's a good one. I agree with you 100%. It's definitely, it adds to the whole experience, I think, and it results in better results.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And don't forget the engagement of the students. They're our products.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't get a chance to work with the students as much as you guys do, but I can see how that would be exciting because their student body that I've run into so far has been just amazing.
Oh, they're bright. They're very, very bright.
You like to add anything to that about what you dislike the most, don't like the most about research, Dr. Lovelady?
I mean, you were spot on when you said writing the proposals. I've got one due Friday, right? And so I'm not looking for it, but I'm right there, and I want to try to get it in before I upset anybody in OSP. Like I want to get it in a few days ahead of time.
Well, more is ready to help you.
Well, the team has been great. It's not, I mean, OSP has been wonderful. Working with them has been great. It's not OSP, it's me. And it's finding the time. It's just the time. Like when you're passionate about your research, but you're passionate about the students can take up so much time.
That's right.
But they're an investment, and so, I'm investing in them, and it's just a matter of, okay, I need to do a better job balancing that. But if I had to say, I'm right there with the, writing grants to get the money for the research. I don't like it.
It wasn't one of the questions I was going to ask, but but you've prompted a thought, Dr. Lovelady. Have the students, are the students getting more involved? Do you see a growth in their interest in research and the effort that they put into, like both of you have been through the doctorate program, so you were postdocs, probably working with professors or researchers at other during your time when you were in your graduate studies. But we're starting to grow that more at Prairie View, I know, but have you seen it personally? Are you seeing it personally?
Dr. Carson, would you like to speak to that?
Yeah, sure. So when I first started doing research, some 20 some years ago here at Prairie View, there were few students who, there were fewer then than there are now, who were interested, simply because they didn't understand, our students didn't understand the importance of research and how it impacts our daily lives. And so it was not a real thing to them. It was like something that was playful. And when they envision doing research, they envision a person with gray hair like I have now, and a white coat with glasses. And so getting through that whole mindset that it's not just that, but you can be a researcher, you can do research, and you don't have to look like that, right? You can just be whoever you are, and it's okay. Being a person of color in research is not unreal. It can happen. And so getting past that mindset that you too can make a contribution to the issues that we're having as society.
Mhm.
So,
And I agree with that wholeheartedly. The LSAMP program is a wonderful program, right? Because it encourages students to be involved in research. I think right now I've got something like 10 LSAMP students. And so it teaches them, not only do they have the hands-on experience, but it's also an opportunity to teach them about professionalism, right? So we have our weekly research meetings, and we have our tasks, and we have our agenda. And so we show up every week, every Friday at 2:00, where everybody has to give a bit of a spiel on what they've done this week, what they've accomplished, and then I give them an opportunity to tell me what I can help them with, right? I kind of let them lead their own research, but then how can I help you? They're bright students, and so I value diversity of thought, right? Which means, Dr. Carson, you spoke to having gray hair. Let me tell you, that has nothing to do with it, all right? Nothing to do with it at all.
yeah.
I don't have gray hair, and they still think I don't know what I'm talking about most days, right? One day I will have gray hair, God willing, if I'm blessed to have gray hair one day, and I'm sure they won't think I know what I'm talking about then. I tell my students, I said, my dad doesn't listen to me because I'm his daughter. My kids don't listen to me because I'm their mother, and you don't listen to me because I'm your professor, right? But when you put them in a research atmosphere and a research environment, I find that sort of decreases that gap, right? And they do start to listen to you. They start to ask, probing questions, and what do you think about this? And what about that? And so they kind of do start to listen to you. So research benefits students in more ways than one. It benefits them, of course, they have the hands-on experience, and it builds their confidence because at times they get to see their ideas come to life. And it actually creates an environment where they listen to us.
That's right. They gain
And
trust.
so it absolutely benefits students in more ways than one.
Super. So one of the outcomes from a lot of research are things that you've invented, and those things can be patented. Do either of you have any patents that you've ever been able to be listed as the inventor on?
Lovelady does, I know.
I was going to defer. I was deferring to you, Dr. Carson, deferring to you.
Yeah, so I have one actually that's out there. There is a plant that the plant systems we've grown, and there are some nutrients in that plant. As a matter of fact, it's supposed to be 10 times as sweet as sugar, right? And so we're trying to use it as some kind of obesity controlling plant. So it's kind of in we've already signed some of the patent paperwork. So all the details can't be shared now.
Correct.
As far as I know. And so,
That's correct.
yeah, that's correct. Yeah, so there's a team of us here in the plant system, Dr. Susie, Dr. Aruna, Dr. M. Dr. Sella, all of us played a part in doing that. So I'm all about team. Team, do it together. It's easier. Yeah.
Dr. Lovelady, I think you have 2 or 3, as I recall.
Yeah.
Working with the medical devices. So again, one is a cannulation device for dialysis patients, and the other is a device for preventing surgical site infections. And so it's like a flexible wearable device that deals with photodynamics. But to touch on what Dr. Carson just said, being about teamwork, those patents would not have been possible without teamwork, right? And so they were born in the mind of a medical doctor who said, hey, I need an engineer to build this, right? And so we brought medicine, and he brought the medicine, I brought the engineering, and we worked together to prototype and test those devices. And I'm really, really proud to say that if you remember when I first introduced myself, I said, hey, one of these companies has achieved a strategic partnership, and so now the device is going through FDA approval. A lot of that would not have been possible without the testing that we did at Prairie View. Mm-hmm. So Prairie View, I can't remember the name. It's of the grant now. Forgive me.
Capacity building?
I'm sorry?
Capacity building? No, maybe not.
I can't remember. What is it? That's not it. But it was, to kind of help you get your career going. And so I was fortunate enough to have gotten to receive one of those grants. And so we took those funds, used it to do some research at Prairie View. My company then also did a sponsored research grant with Prairie View. And so you have funds. And so we were able to take that data and convince the FDA that, hey, this is a great idea and we should move this forward, right? And so I think, again, right back to the office of, sponsored research, we appreciate, what you do for us, and you enable us to be entrepreneurial.
Thank you. I think we're probably used up most of our time that we're allotted, but we do want to leave it open a little bit, a few minutes anyway, for questions from the people in the audience that are listening. Does anybody have any questions specifically? It's like there's one from Ms. Garner. If I have an invention that I would like to commercialize, what are the first steps in working with the university? So I know, Dr. Lovelady, you've had some experience with that. And I know Dr. Carson is working towards that, because I know some of the things he's working on and already accomplished. So what would you guys talk about the support and the way the reception you receive from the university about helping you with your inventions?
So I think, first of all, file that invention disclosure, right? You've got to get that done. That's a key step, is filing that invention disclosure. And I will say that I came to Prairie View fall of 2017, and the support from OSP and the IC office has just grown tremendously. Mm-hmm. We have staff who understand invention disclosures. We have staff who can help with doing a market analysis and doing prior art, research. And so we have all those things, but the first step is filing that invention disclosure.
This is totally inappropriate, but I will have to say that every female inventor that I've worked with have done very good invention disclosures. And I can't say that about all the males.
We'll take it.
I got it.
I don't know why that is, but as you were talking, I was just thinking, I've got a few people right now that I can't get to do an invention disclosure correctly. And I've reviewed both of yours, and I know that they were done very well. So.
Okay, Bobby, we're coming towards the end of the time for our wonderful inventors. If you have additional questions for them, please add them to the chat box. Bobby, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Dr. Carson. Thank you, Dr. Lovelady.
Thank you.